Hello. In this video, we're going to create a basic synthesizer voice with some modulation and control it with our QWERTY keyboard. To get started, let's look at our first module, the Voltage Controlled Oscillator, or VCO. This particular VCO has 4 different wave shape outputs, consisting of sine, triangle, sawtooth, and square. All 4 wave shape outputs have their fundamental frequency controlled by the frequency knob up top. The square wave has an additional control for pulse width, which adjusts the ratio between high and low periods. In addition to the manual controls for frequency and pulse width, this oscillator also features inputs for control voltage from external sources. The frequency can be controlled by the main volt per octave input here, or the frequency modulation input here. The frequency modulation input is also adjusted by the attenuverter above it, allowing you to invert or otherwise adjust the level of the incoming signal. Additionally, it can be changed from a volt per octave exponential response to a linear response. The pulse width modulation control voltage input also has an attenuverter like the FM. In addition to that, there is a synchronization input, and it has a toggle between hard and soft sync modes. This can be useful for synchronizing multiple VCOs together. The second module in our basic synthesizer voice is the Voltage Controlled Amplifier, or VCA. To utilize this, we will route an output from our VCO into the input of the VCA and then out from there. The VCA features a fader where we can manually adjust the level, and that is combined with the CV input for adjusting the level from an external source, which is where our third module, the ADSR envelope generator, comes in. The ADSR envelope generator is an envelope consisting of 4 stages: attack, decay, sustain, and release. As I press the gate, it starts in the attack stage and takes, by default, 100 milliseconds to move from 0 to 10. Once it has reached full, it will move to the decay stage, where it takes 100 milliseconds to move from full to whatever the sustain level is currently set at. When the button is released or the gate signal is lowered is when we will move from the sustain stage to the release stage and lower our level again from whatever the sustain is set at back to 0. When paired with a voltage controlled amplifier, we can control the overall envelope of whatever our sound is, allowing us to play a note. For each stage of this envelope generator, we have a manual control as a fader here, and a control voltage input here, each with an attenuverter. In addition to the push button, you could activate this with an external gate or trigger signal, and there's a re-trigger input for when a key is pressed on top of the same gate. To control our voice, we're going to use the MIDI to CV module. I have mine set to computer keyboard/mouse. By default, that should go to your QWERTY keyboard, but you may also use another device. And then we're just going to leave it on all channels for our MIDI channel. To have the press of my key activate the envelope generator, I'm going to want to connect the gate output from the MIDI to CV device to the gate input on the envelope generator. As you can see, when I press a key on my keyboard, we get a high signal on the gate output, which, when connected to the gate input on the envelope generator, acts as if I'm pushing the button directly on the panel. If I want to be able to hold and then press it again on another note and have the envelope re-trigger, we will want to use the re-trigger input here with another gate. In this case, we can use the re-trigger output from our MIDI to CV device. To control the pitch of our note, we'll want to connect the voltage per octave output from our MIDI to CV device to the volt per octave input on our VCO. Now, with your QWERTY keyboard, you can play any one note, as by default, everything is monophonic. If you're interested in playing chords, you may open up the menu on the MIDI to CV device and change this, the amount of polyphonic channels. Polyphony works well with all of the VCV branded modules and may work well with many other developers. If we want to add additional modulation to our basic voice, we might use a low frequency oscillator in addition to the envelope generator or MIDI to CV device. In this case, we could create sort of pitch sweeps or vibrato by using an output from the LFO on the FM input of our VCO. Additionally, you might try, instead of frequency, adjusting the pulse width modulation with an external source while using the square wave as our output. The low frequency oscillator has many of the same inputs as the VCO. It can be switched between unipolar and bipolar modes, which will change how our parameters that we're modulating respond to it. Also consider using your volt per octave output from your MIDI to CV device to control the frequency of your LFO. This will synchronize the changes between your LFO and your VCO as you move up and down your keyboard. And there we have our basic synth voice. Thanks for hanging out. I hope you find time to bleep and bloop.